Hello, welcome to Intersection Chats. I am Reme Mancera. I am a personal brand story strategist. I am here today with Meg. Hello, Meg.
Hi. Yeah, so I'm Meg Hutson. I'm a marketing consultant specifically for businesses who've got themselves in a bit of a mess with their marketing. So it's lovely to be here today.
Thank you. So we are going to talk about the intersection between personal brand story and digital strategy, in general, especially around marketing, which is your expertise. So let's start by sharing what are your thoughts about that connection. What do you think is the intersection between these two topics?
So for me, like it's hugely connected. I am my brand, and it's the same for most service businesses, isn't it? And a lot of product as well now. People want to know who that person is behind the brand, don't they? But I know for me, like I wouldn't have the clients that I do if I didn't put myself out there and sort of tell my stories, talk about my opinions, show personality, and be myself. Those it all works together so closely. So like the work you do, helping people draw that out is so essential. As far as I'm concerned, you can't really have a good marketing strategy without understanding how you fit into your business and how your background fits in and you relate to people.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like when you are like working on this digital presence, having clarity on what are your stories and what is like the message that you want to convey is really important. And using your stories to illustrate who you are and what is important to you, I feel that's a huge opportunity that especially solo and small business owners we want to like leverage that. We have limited capacity, so using our own stories is a great way because it's not something that you are making up. It's based on the experiences that you have had and the lessons that you get from in your journey. So I feel that's a huge opportunity. So, what is like exactly how you help your clients with this strategy? Tell me a bit about that. About what is exactly the how you help them.
Yeah, so the main thing I do at the moment is consultancy. So if we use the example of my 6-month one-to-one program, so the first month is all about strategy, and that's where those stories really come in. And a lot of people, sort of a bit of a side note, but a lot of people really think that personal brand is about sharing pictures of your dinner and about, the this isn't Facebook on LinkedIn and all of that. But that's just not what it is. Like it can be, and obviously those funny anecdotes and those stories, they all add so much to you showing who you are as a person and therefore to your personal brand. But really it's about understanding what foundations you've got and what background you've got that your audience can relate to. So it's not just pulling out stories for the sake of it, is it? It's pulling out the stories that, it's not about the time you took your dog for a walk and this happened and it's completely irrelevant to your work. It's about the stories of, like, for me, I had a shop when I was 17, 18. I opened a shop and I just had to learn to market it. Like, there was no intention. I didn't think, oh, I'll go and study marketing. It wasn't that. It was, I've got this business. What do I do with it? Like, how do you get some clients? So for me, that's like my core personal brand story, because it was that journey that then kind of years later led me into marketing and wanting to help other people with that, because I can completely understand how they feel that they've started this business. They know they're great at it. Like I work with a lot of coaches, consultants, and they know they're amazing at this thing. They think, oh, I'll go self-employed and I get to just do that thing all the time. I get to spend all of my hours coaching and I can make all this money, blah, blah, blah. Don't think about how they're going to get those clients. So that story of why you have done what you've done and the journey you've had is what helps your potential clients to see you as the right person, because we all want to work with somebody who gets us, don't we? You don't want to work with someone where you feel like you're saying stuff and they're like, I don't know, that's not a problem, I've not experienced that. You want them to go, yeah, totally, I get it, this is how we're going to solve it. So that's what I help my clients uncover as well, is how they can actually relate to their audience and what their purpose is. So we always start by digging out the purpose behind their business. Like, why have you started this business? Why are you doing this? No one ever says money or I thought it would be easy or anything like that. it's always, at least the people I've been lucky enough to work with, it's the people who are like, I know the workplace needs to change, I know etc needs to change, whatever it is, people have got a purpose. So it's digging that out, and then it's how you bring that into your offers, how you bring it into your messaging and your content, and you pull your story through everything.
Mm, yeah, and I love that you brought already the foundations, because I feel that working around strategies, that's key. Like you are building you are working on the foundations, and then no matter which is the channel that you choose, you know, you have clarity on what is the main message, what is your why, what is the part of your story that you want to highlight. So when you have that clarity, then no matter the channel, or if you are using several channels, if there is something new coming, you know what is the theme that you want to say, and then you might learn or look for ways to share it, or different formats and things like that. But then basically you know what you want to say, which is key, especially looking at what is relevant for your audience, what is relevant for your business. When I work with clients, I do the same. Like I work around stories, and we are looking for their stories. But when I start working one on one with my clients, the first thing that we do is, okay, who is your audience? What is your offering? Then from there, we are going to look for the different moments that you want to highlight. I have this framework called the 10 story connectors, and it's like instead of one story, we look for 10 meaningful moments. So each of them is connected to one factor of what you offer, or a factor of your audience. So they are not just, as you said, random stories. They are going to highlight the benefits that you bring, your skills and all that. So again, it's basically, you know, the reason why you are sharing a specific story, and it's because it's related to what you offer, it's related to who you want to serve. And as you mentioned, I have the same experience with my clients. They have this reason why it started, and it's usually around why they want to change something as it is, or they are looking for a certain way of living their lives. And then also there is this external reason that is helping, like the industry or a specific group of people. So using your story to highlight that, why you do that work, what is your background. And for example, you, when were with your experience with the job, is the same. Like, okay, you have been in their shoes, not knowing or having the understanding that now you need to also promote your things. It's not just doing the work, but also promoting it, and all that. So I love that, when you can use your own experience, past experience, even if it's not 100% related. I love that when it's not 100% related. So yeah, I love that you bring that. And I know that you also use this idea of the marketing mess, and how you help them to make it simple. So I would love to know your thoughts on that. How is different a process with someone that has worked before around their own stories, and someone that is like completely new to this, and they are just basically starting and not have that clarity?
I would say most people I work with don't have that clarity yet. But the difference when they're willing to
Mm.
find that clarity is very different from ones who kind of try and go straight in at that top level, because that's what most of us do. I think is, you have this business, you think, right, well, I need to sell it. So like you're a product, and you start sort of just saying, who wants to buy this? Like, I've got 10 spots available, do you want to buy one? And you've not done any of like the basic foundations, like you said. And so it's the people that are really willing to put in the work there, build out those stories, build out the strategy, build messaging their clients or their potential clients actually want to hear. They're the ones that succeed, because then they can actually relate. Whereas otherwise, everyone else is just fighting with their like, oh, we've got a sale on this week, oh, we're doing this. Like, do you want to work with me? No one knows who you are. No one knows like why they should work with you. Again, what your story is, how you can relate to them. So it's the people that are willing to actually put in that groundwork. They're the ones that I really then see succeed and find that clarity.
Mm-hmm. I and I know that you also do a lot of help around, because you have a big presence in on LinkedIn, and you are helping others. If I am right, you are helping others also with that.
Yeah.
So how has been for you that? Because of course they need to work on their foundations, and then what has been your approach helping others with their kind of content that they are going to share on social, especially on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so something a lot of people come to me is a little bit like just what we were speaking about just then. They come and say, there's no point because I'm just going to blend in. You know, there's so many people doing what I do. I can't stand out. There's no point, etc., etc. The whole thing is you need to not sit on a fence. You see, the majority of people are just going and just sort of being very vanilla, very plain, sort of, you know, all of this because they don't want to make anyone upset. They don't want to
Yeah.
look like they disagree with anybody or anything like that. But that just means you completely blend into the background, doesn't it? So I always say stories are really, really key to sort of bring out elements of your personality without having to be like you're wrong, this is this is how things should be, anything like that. You can just tell a story, your opinions are weaved into that story, and it shows who you are without having to sort of like rock the boat too much if you're a bit scared of that. But it helps you to stand out and it helps people to get to know you. Like the amount of people I get message me who never like a post, they never comment on a post, they're your typical lurker, and they're like, yeah, I've been watching for a couple of years, like I need your help with this. And it's because I've shared those stories. If I just sort of shared like 3 ways to update your LinkedIn profile, or, you know, here's the steps to your strategy, I wouldn't have sort of had that success and I wouldn't get those messages because people get to know me. Whether they like me or not is a different question. But we don't mind. We want to be Marmite, right? You want some people to love you. You don't necessarily want people to hate you, but it happens and that's fine. I had a really good example actually the other day. I was on a networking group and I was very much myself. I came in with all the energy. I told some weird stories, like all of that. And you could see some people looking at me like, you're a bit strange. Like, what's wrong with you? But then I had a really lovely message from one lady, and she was like, I'm running a LinkedIn challenge in September. She was like, I'm in. She's like, I've never met you before, but I love your energy. Everything you do, I'm there for it, kind of idea. And that's how being ourselves and like using our stories to help people get to know us, it's so powerful. Whereas if I'd just gone in and just been plain, I suppose, then probably nobody would have connected with me either way, good or
Yeah.
bad. I would have just faded into the background. I'd have left that networking group again. No one would remember me. But your actual question about clients with LinkedIn, it is getting those foundations right again. So it's kind of starting not just like, here's where you post something, but starting with what does your audience actually want to hear? Like, what do they actually need to hear from you? Where are they in their journey? Like
Mm.
with your 10 stories, are they like stages of the journey, or are they just different, sort of more random points? How does that work?
Yeah, usually we look of what is their audience and what is the moment that they are in. Sometimes they have several offers, like my clients have several offers for different stages of their journey. And then we will see how maybe the same story we can have an angle depending on who they are talking to. So you can use the same story but with a different angle, or you choose two different stories depending on who is the audience. I have worked with people that they have two different audiences working around the same topic. For example, let's say I remember specifically one coach, she works around a heavy topic, coaching and helping people with moments in their life when they are around parenting and having like health issues for their children. And then how that is like the approach is different if it's working one-on-one or if it's working in corporates, like giving workshops on how to address that as the company, and if you have employees going through one of these processes. So the approach is totally different, but some of the stories were the same, just the way that she was sharing is different depending on who is the audience. And I always use this example for people to see how you can share the same story in different ways depending on who is the person. So let's say there is this surgeon. She has made a surgery, went well, but she will tell that story totally in different ways if she's talking to the family of the patient or if she's talking to other peers sharing about the how well did it well, or if she's sharing that with her family at breakfast. So it's about the same moment, it's about the same story, but totally different approaches. She will highlight certain things, use different language. Same for us in our businesses and with our stories.
Yeah, and again, it's that total awareness of your audience, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
the ability to adapt that story. First of all, you have to know completely who it is you're talking to and what stage they're at. Like I remember years and years ago, I studied with marketing for a while, and there's this like model. I don't remember much from it. I sort of learned everything from experience. There's a model that's like your customer is at the absolute center, and then like your offer and your messaging and everything builds out from there, rather than starting a business and then trying to figure out who your audience is. If you can do it the other way around, then you really know what their pain is, what they need, all of that. And you want your stories to be very adaptable to speak to that audience. Otherwise, they're just a story and your audience. You need the two to be like completely interlinked, don't you?
Yeah, and I always say that you can use your stories as a bridge to get you closer to them and to build connection, because that's something huge. Even if the person has go through the same experience, you can relate to other people's experiences. You have emotions in common, and you can see like also you get that connection with the human as a, like, okay, this person is not just knowing this stuff, offering me this service or this help. Is also, I kind of see like, okay, this person, this is important for them. It's working with a certain group of people for some reason. So I have a bit of more understanding, more context of who is this person. And also it's highlighting what is different. So it provides also contrast. And as you were saying, with this experience, when you were just like you are in this networking, it was not a neutral experience. For some people they like it, some people they don't, but it's okay, because it's like showing who you are will help attract the people that will be comfortable with you and your point of view. And others that they look for something else, it's okay, they will go for something else. And sometimes maybe even that is going to help you to really understand better who is your audience, because of how they react to your stories, to your content. And you mentioned something about this. It's like how, like the difference between being controversial or just showing your personality, your values. So for some people they are like controversial and they want to go in that, and it's okay. But for some others that they don't want to be in that conflict space, also you have the opportunity to show who you are and to show your values, and that will help you to see, for the audience to understand if you are the right fit or not, without being like looking for the controversy.
Yeah, yeah, and like, you can stand out without being controversial. Like humor, for example,
Yeah.
is a really, really good way to stand out. And you don't have to have strong opinions to do that. You just have to be prepared to maybe look a little bit silly and to, to put. It's all about putting yourself out there, isn't it? Whether that's your opinions you're putting out there, or whether it's a bit of a joke or just a funny anecdote from your weekend, whatever it is. Those stories, they're all helping you to stand out. And on the topic of LinkedIn as well, a tip for selling in the DMs on LinkedIn using stories. So what I find a lot of people, I was just chatting to a lady about this just now, and what a lot of people find is that you sort of say hello to somebody, they're an absolute ideal client, but you don't want to go, can we have a sales call? I think I can help you. Like no one's going to respond to that. They're just going to be annoyed, all of that. So you want to lead them through. And stories are an amazing way to do that. So for an example, if I connected with you and I wanted to sell you some LinkedIn training, obviously you don't need it, but as an example, right? I would sort of get into a conversation with you and I would be asking about perhaps what your problems are, what you've been experiencing, just friendly chat. We're not selling at all at this point. You're just getting to know each other. If you then can establish that there's a problem, so say if you said to me, I never know what to post, for example, that's a common one, right? I just don't really know what to post. You've got your story, so you're sorted. But if you didn't, then I would then start to try and uncover what it is that you've already done to solve that problem, because we don't want to be suggesting something that the person's already tried and then they don't feel heard at all, because they're like, well, I've tried that, it doesn't work, so I'm out of here. So find out what they have tried, what did and didn't work for them, what their goal would be, like what is their ideal endpoint. Is it that you have a post every day and you're not at all worried about what it is, you're happy to share some more controversial stuff, you're getting it out there and you're all good. Then you can then start to use stories to, like you said, bridge that gap between you've established you can help them. They don't know that yet, but you don't want to sound salesy. So you can then use a story. So I could say, you know, I work with clients all the time who just can't think of what to post. It's tricky, isn't it? There's so many ideas in your head, but getting them onto paper is completely different. I work with them and we put these clear plans together. And in the end, you have a bank of content, etc., etc., telling a story about the success that clients have seen with that method. It's then a really easy segue if they like the idea of that to go completely like, should we get on a call and I'll tell you how I can do it for you as well. And so that story is just a really personal and value-led way of bridging that gap between establishing the need for your service and then selling it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think of what you just said about the solutions that they might have tried different solutions, so you want to know that. One of the things that I like to work around when we work with the stories is thinking about how there are different solutions and you offer one type. So let's say, for example, someone that is like considering working with you, they might have been like looking for an agency or books about the topic, or there are more resources that can help them to figure it out. Okay, what are my marketing strategy here? But then you have one specific solution. So you can use stories to highlight how is different your solution from other solutions. But then one step further, that might be different people offering similar services, and then there you want to highlight what makes your approach unique, because for some people might be looking for a specific approach, and for you, for example, with the simple marketing and all that, is like, okay, that's different from other that might be looking for a more like, yeah, you want to go more into this look of luxury feeling, or more about the effectiveness, or going quick, or whatever. It doesn't mean that you are not offering something that is fast or effective or not, but it's like, what is your main point that makes your approach different, right? And for example, for me, it's like one big story instead of one big story, the 10 splitting into 10 to be less overwhelming, because I work with people that they feel they don't have an epic story to share, or those who feel they have so many stories they don't know which one to choose. So for those people, having this approach is helpful. For some other people, different approach will be better. Again, having clarity on that, two levels of how you differentiate from other solutions and then from similar solutions in your approach, that's something else to consider. And then when you have clarity on that, okay, which are the stories that I can use to highlight that and make clear for people how I work in a different way that other solution that they might be considering.
Yeah, and we like remember stories so much more, don't we? So if you just said to me, "Oh yeah, I do," and I do remember it. But if you said, "I'd give you 10 stories rather than one," that could very easily just go out of my mind. Whereas if you tell stories about how your clients come to you feeling quite overwhelmed because they just don't think they've got this big story, and then actually you can pull out 10 different stories that can be used in all these different ways, etc., etc., I'm much more likely to remember that because I can relate to it, because I can think, yeah, like one story that summarizes everything feels like too much, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So finding those ways to like relate to your audience through your stories.
Mm. Yeah, and then something about what you say, using your stories and your approach in a way that you are starting conversations, for example, in your DMs or in any other way. Because for me, it's like whenever you are trying to promote your service or your offers, the main goal to me is like having a conversation with them. So you want them to have this conversation where they are curious to learn more about that. So you get to give them answer, and like you want them to have the possibility to make an informed decision. And so it's like how you can use the marketing into helping you that, and storytelling to helping you that, right? So it's not just for when you are looking for clients, it's even when you are looking for collaborators, if you are doing like you want to be a guest in other people's podcast or community for visibility. So you can use your stories in so many different spaces. The same when you have clarity on what is your message, what is the theme that you are highlighting, right? When you have that clarity, then you can apply that to any of the channels that you are using for communicating.
Yeah, it makes everything so much simpler, doesn't it? Because you've got these stories, these ideas that you can draw on. We don't want our marketing to be complicated. Like nobody does.
Yeah.
Even like giant companies, they don't want it to be complicated. They've obviously
Yeah.
got a lot more resources and staff than we've got. But having that kind of that basis, that foundation of your stories and your message and exactly what your offers are and who you're helping, that's the start of everything, isn't it? To build to whatever level, you have to have those foundations in place first. I think stories as well are really good when you do offer multiple services or you help multiple audiences. So, like, rather than listing, like, I can work with engineers, with coaches, rather than writing a list, you can tell stories, perhaps in your testimonials or in different sections of your website, whatever it might be, where you tie it all together under the same thread. So you're telling the same message throughout, but you're telling stories about the different people you've helped, which makes it then really relatable to those audiences.
Mm, yeah. And going back to the idea of how storytelling and digital strategy is connected, I don't know what is your approach at the beginning for your clients, but something that I invite people to do is like just search for your digital presence, but from a point where, like, from the eyes to your potential clients, someone that doesn't know you and someone that is totally new to your world. Okay, how they will understand what you do, what you offer, what makes you different. And I don't know in your field, but I know for sure that a common mistake that people do around personal brand story is like the lack of repetition. They feel that, okay, my story is in my about me page, I share it one on my social media, done. And it's like, no, usually you need to repeat that message, because it's like it's going to reinforce the messaging that you want to convey, and it's also helping people that having more opportunities to be in touch with that messaging and with the story to provide the context, the connection, and the contrast, right? So I would love to know your thoughts on that, and how is the experience about the repetition, especially with your clients.
So I heard once, and I won't get this sort of word for word, but something like, if your message isn't boring you yet, then your audience hasn't heard it yet.
Mm,
We think, like, because we've put it, like you said, you've put it out there in one post, so you've told everyone, right? But that's so not the case. Even if they've read it, they won't have taken it in yet. It's something like 7 touch points. It might even be 11 now, I think, that we need before anyone actually takes any action. So you need to keep repeating yourself again and again and again. And to you, you're like, I must be so boring because I'm just saying the same thing again and again. But they've just not heard it yet. Because you sort of, the first time you might just sort of scrolling by. Second time you might be like, all right. And then next time you keep scrolling, and eventually you're like, that's a good idea. As if it's like the first time you've heard it, because your mind just can't, like, we're doing so many things at once. Half the time you're like scrolling LinkedIn or whatever it might be while you're on the tube or, brushing your teeth or whatever it is, but you're not giving it your full attention. So it's not like we're studying every single post or every single email we get and then like trying to memorize it. That's just not happening, is it? So I think people forget, firstly, that their audience isn't paying as much attention as we think they are. And secondly, that not every piece of content gets seen by even a small proportion of your audience. Like
yeah.
you might put a post out being like, oh, we've got this offer on at the moment. And then you're like, well, I've told everybody. Why is no one buying? But it's because, well, it might not be a good offer, is the first thing. But aside from that, assuming it is, it might just be they've literally not heard it yet, or that they've literally not seen that post. It's like less than 5% of our audience in general will see what we post. So you've got to say that quite a lot of times to get to everybody and to get them to hear it, haven't you?
Mm, yeah, and another exercise that I recommend is going to your own content, like
Mhm.
6 months ago, or if you want, you can go further, and read or check one of your pieces of content, I'm sure there's something that will surprise you because you don't remember you wrote it or you said that. So imagine your audience, and also there are new people arriving hopefully, so you want to repeat because of that new people. But even if it's the existing community or audience, this repetition is important for them to get clarity on your message. And even for us, I forgot what I wrote. So imagine someone that read it. I'm sure it's not going to bother anyone if you share the same. I am actually now at the moment doing like this campaign, if you will, where I am posting the exactly same videos, a series that I did with 30 example of story connectors that are like ideas and prompts and all that, and sharing just as they were, and adding this note like I am reposting this from 2024 and I am doing it because it's still relevant. And there might be people that even if they watch it, they didn't do the exercise that I recommended, so they can go and do it now. So it's valid, it's valuable. And I am doing also to share this idea. It's okay to share the same content. It's okay to repeat yourself, even with the same exact same words. So I am doing it a bit as this campaign of, okay, please, we have limited resources, especially if we are just solo business owners. It's like how you can leverage, how you can repurpose content that you had, or ideas that you were doing before. So you don't need to start from scratch every time.
Definitely. And like not just on LinkedIn or whatever either, but you can look through old email campaigns and then you can,
Yes.
if it had a good open rate, that's probably quite a good hook then, isn't it? Because the subject line was quite good. So then you can make a couple of posts out of that, and blogs and everything you can repurpose, even if it needs to be in different formats, or you make a written post into a video or vice versa. There's so many ways to save time, and people think that it has to take hours and hours and hours to kind of run your marketing, and it does take a lot of time. I'm not going to pretend it's like instant, but it can be a lot simpler than you think it is. And actually, yeah, like say one day a week, you go back and choose an old post from 3 to 6 months ago or a bit more, find a post that performed really well. You could say every Tuesday, you know, that you repost something that you previously had posted. Either it got really good engagement the first time, or that it didn't quite hit the mark, and you can look at it again knowing what you know now,
Mm.
and you can think, okay, well, it was actually a really good topic, but maybe my hook wasn't very strong. I don't have a call to action there. Maybe I've lost my message halfway through the post. Like whatever it might be, you've still got a piece of content there and a really good topic to write about that you can just make some tweaks and again repost it and save yourself some time doing it that way.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Okay, so we are going to start wrapping up. But before that, there are like any message that you want to share that maybe we didn't touch, or something that you feel is important to highlight?
Not that we didn't cover, I suppose, but the fact that a personal brand isn't just like being silly on the internet and, you know, messing about and sharing your stories that you perhaps shouldn't be sharing or whatever. It's such a valuable part of your business. If anybody hasn't listened to or read Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley, he literally wrote about this back in 2014, I think it was. So before personal brands as we know it were a thing, it wasn't a buzzword. He wrote about it as like someone like Richard Branson, for example. He has a very strong personal brand. No one thinks he's silly, but he's making a lot of money. So just to kind of reframe how some people are seeing personal brands, it's not like a silly thing that, you know, all the startup bros are doing or anything like that. It's like a really valuable part of building your business.
Mm, yeah, 100%. And you can see how even the big commercial brands, they are using the personal brand of specific people in their top level, to highlight that, because it's like the connection that you feel for someone is like is not different than the connection that you will feel for a commercial brand like a company name and all that. And yeah, I want to add, yeah, it's the personal brand is more than that, and it's about the how you are helping to define the perception that others have of you as a professional, as someone in your expertise, and how you can use the way that you communicate to work in favor of that. And then it's like, okay, I am highlighting my values, I am highlighting the reasons why I am doing this, I am highlighting what makes my approach different, I am helping people to understand why working with me or getting my offers instead of others. Again, it's like giving the people the opportunity to know better who you are. And for that, as you say, like, it's like being strategic about it. It's not that just doing things randomly because you see others doing, because you don't know what is the strategy behind this other uh, personal brand or content strategy. So, okay, what are my goals, what is my approach, and then I will do based on that. And then maybe makes sense for me to do silly stuff, or makes sense to do some other, showing some other part of my, like, things that I like or whatever. For example, I talk a lot about nature and how I like to go hiking, because to me nature is a way of self-care, and I highlight that part. That will connect with people that they feel a similar thing, but that will be not interesting for someone else, and it's totally okay. It's just showing a part of me besides who I am as a someone helping with the personal brand story.
Definitely. And like that personal brand will last you through everything. Like if you start a different business, if we ever wanted to get jobs, like whatever it would be, that would last us through everything. It's not your business, it's you as a business leader in all your
Yeah.
ventures. And that's really important to remember as well. It's not the same as your business, it's separate.
Yeah, yeah, and then there are other parts of the story that are like, it's showing who you are, and it's like helping to build that, like how you are a multifaceted person, and it's showing like the different sides of you, like in your, for people that they want to highlight other things that they enjoy to do, and things like that. It's like it's showing you as a, not just this person doing this offer, is someone more like different ways to connect. So yeah, I feel that this is really important. So just to close before we say goodbye, is like, there is like one expression of word that you will use for, like, the idea of this connection between personal brand story and digital strategy. What will be one to two words to summarize that connection for you?
I'm going to say like relatability and relationship building, because
Mm.
we won't get into it because it's a whole separate topic, but like building a relationship with your clients is so key now. It's the cold selling just doesn't work. There's too much competition. So you need that relationship in your, literally in your strategy. So stories are a very good way to bring that in. So yeah, I'm going to say, what should I say? Relatability and relationships.
Nice. Yeah, I love those. For me, I would say intention, in the idea of how, when you are strategic, you are like going with one intention of what is the how you want to use that. And for me, you can use your personal brand story with the intention of highlighting and use it in your digital strategy to showcase who you are. So I feel like for some people strategy is like, they think more into manipulative and things like that, and I love to highlight, like, you can be strategic, you don't need to pretend to be someone else, you are not trying to convince people to things that are not true or anything like that. Is that there are so many ways that you can share your messaging. Doing with intention is a way to help your audience to understand you and what you offer. So I will say that as a bridge between those two fields.
Yeah, I love that.
So thank you so much for this conversation. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's been lovely.
And thank you, everyone who has watched this or is going to watch in the replay. And if they want to learn more about what we do, how we can help them, or if they have any question, or the links for both of us, they are around us in the description. So feel free to reach out, any question, any comments, or if you are interested to learning more about how we can help them, please do. And so, yeah, thank you and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.